Scholar Labs is a useful AI-powered research tool that can be used for finding relevant research papers, exploring research topics, supporting a literature review, comparing research papers, identifying similarities and differences between studies, generating bullet point summaries, understanding key findings, examining research methods and limitations, and exploring potential research gaps. Instead of searching for papers one keyword at a time, Scholar Labs can help explore a research question and identify relevant academic literature. So first, open Google Scholar and click on Scholar Labs. If you want to find research papers related to a specific research question, you can enter a prompt such as "Find research from the past 5 years about blockchain applications in supply chains." Scholar Labs then analyzes the question. It evaluated 143 results and provided a selection of relevant research papers. What I really like is that, along with each research paper, Scholar Labs provides a short explanation of how that particular paper is related to the question. For example, this study reviews different technical implementation aspects of blockchain-enabled supply chain traceability systems. This makes it easier to quickly understand why a particular paper appeared in the results. Instead of opening every paper immediately, I can first read these short explanations and determine which studies are most relevant to my research question. If I find a paper that looks particularly useful, I can open it and read the article in more detail. You can also read selected papers with ChatGPT. I have attached the videos in description. You can also ask Scholar Labs questions from different perspectives while staying within the same broad research topic. I asked, find studies that examine how blockchain is being used to improve supply chain operations. Now the focus of the search changes. The results are not simply about blockchain in general. They focus more specifically on how blockchain is being used to improve supply chain operations and what researchers have found. For example, this article conducts a case study of 3 agri-food supply chains to analyze the impact of blockchain adoption promoted by a large European retailer. Another study examines how supply chain analytics that leverage blockchain can improve traceability in the food and agriculture industry. So, by changing the wording of the research question, I can explore a different aspect of the same broad topic and see what researchers have already studied, in just a few seconds. I can get an overview of relevant research, see what individual studies focused on, and identify some of their main findings. Another useful way to use Scholar Labs is to narrow down a broad research topic. For example, suppose my broad topic is blockchain and supply chain management. That is still a very broad area. I asked, which industries have been most studied in research on blockchain-based supply chains? The results can help me see where the existing research is concentrated. Several studies identify food and agriculture as one of the most frequently studied areas. Other research has examined pharmaceuticals, aviation, shipping, textiles and apparel, manufacturing, automotive, healthcare, mining, energy, and other industries. This information can help narrow a broad topic into something more specific. Instead of researching blockchain in supply chain management, I could focus on blockchain adoption in pharmaceutical supply chains or blockchain applications in agricultural supply chains. So, Scholar Labs is not only helping me find papers. The results can also help me understand where research is concentrated and decide how to make my own research topic more specific. I can also use Scholar Labs to explore potential research gaps. For example, I asked, which aspects of blockchain adoption in supply chains need more research? This changes the purpose of the search. Instead of simply asking what researchers have studied, I am asking what still needs to be studied. Some research suggests that more work is needed to understand how blockchain-enabled supply chains should be configured. Other studies identify a need for more empirical research examining blockchain integration. These findings can help narrow down a research topic in another way. For example, I could move from the broad topic blockchain in supply chains to a more specific topic such as blockchain adoption and supply chain sustainability in developing economies. The important point is that I would not simply take a research gap identified by AI and assume that it is automatically a valid gap. I would use the results as a starting point, open the relevant papers, verify what the researchers actually said, and then determine whether the gap is appropriate for my own research. The good thing is that you can also use Scholar Labs to find and analyze papers for a literature review. A literature review involves comparing studies based on areas such as the theories and frameworks they used, their research methods, findings, and the themes that emerge across the literature. So, I used a prompt such as, "What theories and frameworks have researchers used to study blockchain applications in agricultural supply chains?" Now Scholar Labs has identified the main theories and frameworks used across the research. For example, the results include the unified theory of acceptance and use of technology, the agri-food supply chain partner preparedness framework, the resource-based view, and behavioral reasoning theory. This is helpful because it gives me an overview of the theoretical and conceptual approaches used across previous studies, which makes it easier to compare the literature. A literature review is also mainly organized around themes, so the next question I asked is, what common themes appear across research on blockchain applications in agricultural supply chains? Now Scholar Labs has identified the themes discussed across the different studies. For example, this article identifies traceability, transparency, monitoring, food safety, provenance, and governance as important themes. Another article identifies similar themes, including traceability, coordination, transparency, and improving food safety. Another study focuses on sustainable supply chain management, traceability, and food safety as central elements related to consumer trust. Instead of reading every article in detail before I even know what each study is about, I can first use these results to see which themes appear repeatedly across the literature. For example, if traceability appears repeatedly across several studies, I can create a theme around traceability and then compare what different researchers found about it, how they studied it, and whether their findings were similar or different. To compare research methods, you can also ask, which quantitative and qualitative research designs have researchers used to examine blockchain and agricultural supply chain performance? You can see that Scholar Labs now identifies studies using different research designs, including mixed method approaches. For example, one study collects both qualitative and quantitative data through questionnaires and interviews to develop food supply chain models. Another study uses quantitative approaches such as mathematical modeling, optimization models, and surveys. This can help you compare how different researchers have investigated the same topic and identify which research designs have been used most often. It is also important to understand the types of data used in previous research, so the next question I asked is, what types of data have researchers used to study blockchain implementation in agricultural supply chains? Now the results show different types and sources of data used by researchers. For example, one study collected primary empirical data through questionnaires and semi-structured interviews with stakeholders, while another study analyzed data stored on the blockchain across different agricultural applications. This can help you understand what data previous researchers have collected and how that data was used, which is useful when planning the data collection and methodology for your own research. This is just a small example of how I used Scholar Labs for research. You can use this tool in many other ways, such as identifying research gaps and limitations, finding studies focused on a specific country or population, exploring specific treatments or interventions, comparing findings across different groups, and investigating many other aspects of a research topic.